Hello, welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz. I'll be guiding you on this journey today. And I just kind of wanted to do a quickie little check-in around this Barbault Basket configuration that's happening in astrology. And yeah, I don't know. That's it. It's the exact configuration is happening today, July 20th, and there are 4 planets that are all at 4 degrees. Jupiter in Leo, Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, and Uranus in Gemini. Now, of course, real astrologers would say that, if you don't have planets at those degrees, it may not impact you that much. And that is probably true. And I don't have, I was going to say, I don't have any planets, but I have a 2-degree Mars in Gemini. So it's already like separating, from that. I've definitely felt, Uranus being on my Mars though. So anyway, not to make this like a super duper long intro or whatever, but I have this list here and I hope it's correct. I'm sure that there was probably an easier way to do that, but of course I couldn't do it that way. But we're going to go by rising sign. Of course, watch your rising sign, watch your sun sign, do what you want, but the houses that are involved would be based off of your rising sign. And I am going to kind of try to do my best to like rapid fire through these things, but I have a Taurus Mercury. I might just be being delusional with the idea of like rapid fire. So anyway, just a quick little thing about Barbault's Basket. If you're unaware, I did just like kind of make some notes here because I would absolutely forget. But it is a rare planetary configuration apparently. And like I said, it's going exact on today, July 20th. And Andre Barbault is the one that believed that this configuration marks the beginning of a major global reorganization. And just the fact too that it's like mostly all outer planets. Jupiter is considered a personal planet since it moves through a sign within a year. But the other 3 planets that are involved are planets that take longer. Like Uranus takes 7 years to get through a sign. Neptune is 14 years. Pluto is around 20. So it's not maybe going to be something that, boom, happens. It could with Uranus being involved, but it's something that could unfold over time. And we could see, the changes of unfolding. I just got the vision in my head of like lava, just how it just kind of creeps along, but it's still, it's moving, right? And the configuration of the basket itself consists of 2 trines, 2 sextiles, and a opposition. Trines and sextiles are fairly like harmonious aspects. Like they play well with each other. Trines are 120 degrees, sextiles are 60 degrees apart, and then an opposition is 180 degrees. Trines have the energy of effortless flow, maybe some luck sprinkled in there. Sextiles represent opportunity and motivation. I mean, definitely still something that, you know, you have to work at, but maybe it's something that comes a little easier or with potentially less effort. So anyway, I also like, I kind of want to start by maybe just pulling like a collective. I feel, you know, we've, a lot of us have probably just felt the energy of change coming. I mean, change isn't necessarily always easy. Let's just say collectively, in the world, globally, since Barbault was specifically talking about interesting temperance. And the death card at the bottom of the deck. It, you know, it is interesting because this looks a lot like justice. Which I think is like one of the things that is missing from a lot of like what is happening in the world is accountability and justice. On one side of the card here, it's just reminding me of water because of the blue. And then on the right side is reminding me of fire. And this card does talk about blending energies together to find the, like the right, quote unquote, the right mixture. And it is a card too of patience and like going through the motions, going through the steps, because it's like you have to figure out where your boundaries are. And this is a Sagittarius card, so it's a fire card, and it is about taking action. And truly, you know, it is like one of those things of like the best way to figure out what your boundaries are is to be in action. So even to like all of the stuff that is happening in the world, it really is like to show where there is an imbalance. Maybe even, you know, like I mean, we can see with the amount of, or you know, like what's missing in empathy and compassion and overall caring for, you know, like the globe as a whole, but of course, you know, like the people and everything else that occupy it. And then of course, like the actions and even the fire part being a boundary too. Even like with this hard line between the two, and the death card being at the bottom of the deck, you know, like there's like some sort of separation there. And I love that the death card is at the bottom of the deck. Like, thank fuck, you know, because that truly is like, you know, something does have to end in order for something new to begin. And it's Scorpio, which is interesting because they're neighboring signs. Maybe the Jupiter in Leo. I mean, how many of these world leaders are a Leo rising? You know? Yeah, and then the Nine of Cups was behind that. You know, like individual happiness. So I think we are going to start seeing the scales balancing. I think a lot of this is coming out to show like where the failures are, not even cracks. Like the shit has failed all the way, you know? So I think it's like, you know, again, just we're seeing what that is. We're seeing where there needs to be balance. We're also seeing, you know, the effects of it being completely out of balance in the way that it is now. So, okay. Let's put you somewhere. Okay, so we're going to start with Aries rising. And this is going to affect your first house, your fifth house, your third house, and your 11th house. First house of self, fifth house of creativity, visibility, which is also first house. Vulnerability with the fifth house. The third house is communication, neighbors, siblings, cousins. And then the 11th house is friendships and communities, hopes and dreams, aspirations. For Aries. Just like, how many cards is that? No. We're supposed to be moving through these pretty quick for Aries rising. I mean, there's 2 cards. Yeah, okay. I did have to think about it. We have the Heart of Swords, which is the Queen of Swords, and the Four of Cups. I kind of love that they're like looking at each other, because like the immediate thing that I got in my head was really considering what you're pouring into and what you're getting out of it. You know, it's like, are you using your energy in a way that is literally just not filling your cup, or it's not giving you the feedback that you want? I mean, you know, swords is heads, cups are emotions. Queen of Swords is very discerning. Queens for me are when, you know, we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. We learn to work with it. We learn to master it. So this is like you considering what is true for you. And the Four of Cups is like feeling disappointed, boredom, lethargy. Like you could, like you might just need mental stimulation. You might just be figuring out what type of mental stimulation you need. And it's also recognizing that maybe like the patterns that you have been in, because at some point they worked, right? But it's like, they actually don't work anymore. And they did at the time because of possibly survival mode, or even like your truth was different then, or what you knew to be true about yourself was different then. But it's like recognizing that it's changed. And it's seeking new opportunities. It's also even just allowing yourself to be open to a new possibility coming in. Like, you know, again, like putting your energy, putting your intelligence, your knowledge, what you know, focusing that on what brings you emotional fulfillment. Like, what is the one thing? Because there's, you know, these 3 cups here and it's like, but there's this 1 cup sitting behind them, and that's that offer. That's the thing that you're not seeing. It's like, just turn around. Turn around. RIP. And then we have the Star at the bottom of the deck. Hopes and dreams. 11th house. Aspirations. Right? I mean, like you could just be changing what you believe to be possible for yourself. And even like what you want out of these cups. Like what would make you feel like emotionally fulfilled? What would make you feel excited? What is something that you can like put your emotion or your passion, your drive into? I think that's going to become more clear for you. And again, like I said, it's like there's this real hard look at yourself and where you are feeling unfulfilled in these different areas of your life. And, you know, there might even be something in the back of your mind that's like, man, you know, that's always something I've had an interest in, or that's always something that I've been passionate about. And you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna allow myself to focus on that thing and even like come out of some sort of hiding. And, you know, like there's these feathers here, but it like looks like they're like peeking out, you know, from like behind a tree or something. Even just letting that possibility be known. Okay. I feel like I could just keep going on and on and, you know, okay. For Taurus rising, we're looking for you. It's going to involve, the 12th house of the subconscious. It's also like hidden enemies, the house of personal undoing, which is very subconscious, right? Like self-sabotage. And also even like where we unpack a lot of that, because, you know, like self-undoing is like peeling back the layers of your subconscious to like get to the truth, right? So 12th house, second house of money, worth, materials, resources, and your access to those things. The fourth house of home, family, roots, kind of, you know, like what happens behind closed doors. And then the 10th house, and that is public image, how people see you, how you represent yourself, work, career. And we have the Heart of Cups, which is the Queen of Cups. I'm pretty sure. I should just double check that. What the hell? Yeah, it is. Okay. That would have sucked. Oh my God. And the Sun at the bottom of the deck. But again, like with the Queen of Cups, I say again, but you know, if you're not in Aries rising, you probably didn't watch that reading. But queens are when we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. So we learn to work with it. We learn to give it to ourselves. And we also learn to master it. Cups have to do with our emotions and love and our relationship to love. How do we give love? But more importantly, with this card, how do you receive it? Do you accept help? Do you ask for it? Do you give yourself a break? Do you schedule in rest and spa days, or, you know, like treating yourself to your favorite food, or a book even, whatever it is, right? It's like what is the thing that fills your cup? And also, like, how are you receiving that from other people in relation to how you are giving love, giving support, giving, you know, empathy and compassion? Because it's, again, how are you engaging in those behaviors with yourself? Do you give yourself a lot of space to feel your emotions? What is your connection to your intuition as well? How do you guys communicate? You know? And then we have the Sun at the bottom of the deck, which is Leo. So I think just over the next year, with Leo being in your, or Leo being your fourth house, there is probably going to be some changes to your home situation. Maybe you're going to move. Maybe there is some sort of dynamics within your home that is going to experience some sort of illumination, but also change for the better, though, because I mean, the Sun card is joy and bliss and rejuvenation. It's sometimes also about rebirth, visibility too. And it's like one of those things of, you know, having a conscious awareness about whatever it is, which again is 12th house stuff too, having a conscious awareness of dynamics or patterns or, you know, how you are taken care of and how you give and receive. Once you have that conscious awareness, then you can start making tweaks and changes to things, right? That better suit you. Because like we always have to look out for our star player, right? Like we are our star players. And, you know, like if you have, like a lot of people spent the majority of your life not considering your own emotions, and your own care. It's figuring out what that even looks like for you. Shedding light on that. And also like finding your joy. And maybe it does have to do like with relationships because we have the Two of Cups back here. But, you know, it is like finding your joy, but it starts within yourself. Always. Right? Okay. Moving on to Gemini rising. So for you, this involves your first house of self and identity. It's the I am, so it's like, who am I? The 11th house of communities, friendships, networks, aspirations, hopes and dreams. The 3rd house of communication, neighborhoods, siblings or cousins. And the 9th house of higher education, publishing, like higher beliefs too, or maybe just beliefs in general. What do we have for Gemini rising? Eat. Okay. We have the Queen of Cups and then the 10 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. You know, so queens have to do with, it's very individual. We learn to work with the suit. We give it to ourselves because that's also like how we learn to give it to other people, right? Like understanding the element itself and its impact on ourselves so that, you know, we can move on to the king. And that's where, you know, we share the element with other people. And cups have to do with emotions, intuition, love too, your relationship with love. How do you give it? But with this card, with the queens, more importantly, how do you receive it? And do you know like how you want to be loved? You know, like I said, first house, who am I? Right? 11th house, other people and, you know, their relation to you. 3rd house, communication. 9th house, publishing. I mean, with the 9th house too, like you could be moving at some point. And it could be like a very intuitive decision, you know, like having to do with like where you are in space in relation to, other people, your community, because the 10 of Pentacles is about community, family, legacy as well, generational wealth. Pentacles have to do with our money. It could also even just be on an emotional level, like nervous system wise, discovering your worth. You know, I mean, like maybe there is going to be some sort of sharing about your journey, how you became the person that you are. And maybe that has something to do with legacy. Maybe that has something to do with your money. And I'm saying that because we have pentacles out here. Pentacles, money, how you get it, how you save it, how you spend it. It's your time, your physical body too, and your health. Ninth house is publishing. Third house is writing. You know, 11th house is figuring out your audience too. And the first house is like personal experience. Seven of Pentacles behind that, putting in the work, watching something grow and actualize and materialize. I also want to say that like our whales, I was going to say like, I believe that whales are matriarchal as well. So it could even just like, it's interesting that that's even coming through. And random that it was also correct. Like, I don't know where the hell. Thank you for dropping that in. And also, let's see, what's a whale totem? Ancient wisdom, emotional depth, and strong family. I mean, of course, that's why they would depict a whale on the Queen of Cups for emotional depth. And even like with the elephant on the 10 of Pentacles, like, you know, because they have that memory. And they're also matriarchal. What the hell? Yeah. Intensely matriarchal. And speaking of legacy too. So yeah, you know, I mean, like you could really be considering your children here, but it's like not just them. There's, you know, a broader sense here, but like they will benefit though from whatever this Queen of Cups is, even if this is like you figuring out for yourself, what fills your own cup? What does receiving love feel like? Or even what does it look like? But if you are planning on doing some sort of writing or even, you know, speaking, like starting a vlog or, you know, posting videos on social media or whatever, like there's no doubt you have some sort of information, and maybe it is ancestral, you know, like you're being guided by your ancestors in some capacity. But it's like the time is ripe for that information to be shared with the collective, and we need it. We do. Beautiful. Okay, Cancer rising. What do we have for Cancer rising? So that's going to be in your second house of worth and money, resources, resources available to you. Your 10th house of public image, work, career, like how you present in the world. The 12th house of the unconscious, or the subconscious. That's interesting. The subconscious. And I mean, really, I guess like the unconscious too, because it's like, you know, bringing light or, you know, putting vocabulary to things that are unconscious to you, behaviors, you know, stories, patterns. It's the house of personal undoing too, because that's really like what we do when we have a spiritual awakening, or we have a dark night of the soul, or, you know, like you're going through a healing journey. Like you really are kind of like undoing yourself to see what the truth actually is for yourself. And then also the 8th house of transformation, death and rebirth, inheritance, which, you know, I mean, that can of course be like your traditional inheritance, but it can also be like ancestral or like hereditary type things. Like, what did you inherit from conditioning, you know, like the family structures, you know, just the conditioning as well. We have the Innocence of Wands, and I believe that's the Page of Wands. Let me just make sure. The 7 of Wands. Yeah, it is the Page of Wands. And this says, I am the innocence of my light. I am being encouraged to get in touch with my inner self. As I learn and figure out the passions that drive me, they will help ignite me. I love that. I haven't even read from the book yet. Inner strength, self-worth, and courage with the 7 of Wands. Yeah, I love that. I also even love that whatever this symbol is, like it kind of looks like multiple phases of the moon. So that could even be important to you over the next little bit of like, you know, just working with the phases of the moon, or even tracking, you know, like your moods and even, you know, motivation or ambition or lack thereof, depending on like where the moon is. There's an eclipse happening. I think we're like kind of going into eclipse season, starting in August, and that's because I'm a Cancer rising too, 2nd and 8th house access. So it's like you and like your resources, your value, your money, and then the 8th house of other people's resources and their money, and what, you know, like what is available to you. I love that we have these 2 fire cards here. It's like, you know, this card said, finding your light, what it is even that you want to be, you know, curious about. Like for me, the Page of Wands is adventure, curiosity. You know, it's like literally just trying things to see if you even like them, you know, like, and not being attached to whether you like them or not, because it's just information at that point. If you like something, great. That's good information for me. I'm going to continue to do that in whatever aspect I'm going to do it. If I don't like it, I'm not going to continue to do it that way. And then what did the 7 of Wands say? I've like already forgotten. Inner strength, self-worth, and courage. Because also too, like it does take a bit of courage to just kind of put yourself out there, to be playful, to be new. I mean, maybe that comes easy to some people. It doesn't come easy to me. You know, like I also have Pluto and Saturn in the 5th house. So that's why. And I actually want to read this whole thing for the 7 of Wands. It says, when I know my own boundaries and I believe in who I am. Why is it? When I know my own boundaries and I believe in who I am. Doesn't it seem like there should be something? Okay. I don't know. I'm like, doesn't that seem incomplete? I hold energetic space for myself to be present with an invisible force. I can choose to be silent and be firm, or I can use my voice and be clear. The more I respect my heart's calling, I stay in alignment with my truth. This allows me to separate what belongs to me and what belongs to others. The clearer this becomes, the less reactive I am, and I can remain strong in my position. And even like the innocence of wands too, like if you are, interacting with people and maybe you're like just kind of switching up like how you're doing that, like and it's all for you too, right? Like I just don't think that there should be like a ton of like consideration of other people's opinions, like not to be like arrogant, but this is like you figuring out like your equilibrium, or like what works for you, or how you want to use your drive or your creativity or your passions or whatever, like even self-expression. And of course, like if people are going to have opinions. We can't stop that. I'm just saying, and especially like the Four of Pentacles kind of being behind, it's like just honoring your own truth and even having conversations with people about like what you're doing. I'm just being playful. I'm just trying stuff. This, it's not necessarily permanent. Whatever it is, the way you're dressing, or, the color of your hair, or, the makeup, or even the hobbies or the things that you are spending your time doing or putting a lot of like effort or energy into. And it could just be like a matter of just saying, I'm just trying stuff right now. Like I'm just, mixing things up, seeing what fits, seeing what doesn't, having fun. Also, even too, like getting some spark back, like getting some like oomph or fire, since these are two fire cards, back in your life. And even like with this cat here, is this like a bobcat? Whatever this is, it's kind of like, when like a cat hisses, it's a boundary, right? And some people need to be hissed at in order to recognize a boundary, love ya, but back up. I also even think Four of Pentacles is like holding on to things too tightly, and the Tower is behind it. And it's kind of like, if there have been things that you have been holding on to through that process of play and joy and just kind of getting your spark back, those things that you have been holding on to will no doubt fall away. And we kind of know that like with the 8th house. Okay. And then Leo rising. For Leo rising, this is your 1st house, 11th house, 9th house, and 7th house. So the 1st house is the self. Who are you? Your visibility as well, especially with Leo. The 11th house of friendships and community, aspirations. The 9th house of beliefs and higher education, long distance travel. That is now, okay. And then the 7th house of relationships and other people, contracts. We have the Ace of Cups and the 5 of Swords, and then the 9 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. This really feels like exiting any kind of conflict It's like not allowing yourself to be involved in mental gymnastics, or like the Five of Swords for me is a battle of wits. And I mean, there is a shark on here. So it's like recognizing maybe the sharks in your life. Also interesting that on a swords card, which is our mind and our mindset, beliefs, truth, and honesty. Okay. Hello? I'm like, we can't both talk at the same time, you know. I think he's just agreeing with me, even though he's in a different room. I think he's hearing what I'm saying and he's agreeing with me. But and that, you know, it like, so there's a shark on the swords card having to do with the mind, with your beliefs, you know, with the truth of things, intelligence as well. You know, I see swords as being the suit of ego, because that's where, you know, a lot of our stories live, good, bad, otherwise. And then we have cups here, which is emotions and love, intuition, empathy, compassion. And with it being an ace, it's something brand new. So it could just be like not approaching some situation, because there are usually other people involved with the Five of Swords. And it's kind of like a win at all cost energy. And it could be that like you have felt like you've had to fight for your feelings to be considered, or, you know, like just having to fight for like your cup to be full in some capacity, or even just to have the recognition. And there's some sort of process here where it's like recognizing how much it is taking away from you to engage in this type of, I want to say like mental warfare. I'd like, that might be a little bit dramatic. That's what came to mind. Because like, so we have the Nine of Swords at the bottom of the deck, and that is anxiety and fear and doubt. And, you know, it's the card of, you know, keeping you up at night, like the things that maybe that like you ruminate over, or that just take away the ability to consider other options. It's also even like considering worst case scenario. And that could be like based off of experience, or just kind of having to be on guard. And there's the Ten of Swords is behind it. So, you know, I mean, I do love that this is here, because there is a completion here. There is like literally nothing else to consider. And it would be like beating a dead horse. And maybe it has been like beating a dead horse in whatever capacity. And last thing, like with these four swords are all facing this shark, and this one sword is facing a different direction. So, you know, this could also even be limiting your access, or limiting access to you, and whoever this person or these people or even this community is. You know, it's like just like kind of keeping tabs on them, but not allowing the energy flow, like not involving yourself. Because the focus would be on filling your own cup. All right, moving on to Virgo. So for Virgo, that is too many cards. This is applying to your 12th house of the subconscious, hidden enemies. It's the house of personal undoing as well. But like, that's what we do when we go on like a healing journey or have a spiritual awakening or even like a dark night of a soul, right? Like we are undoing ourselves in order to become conscious of our patterns, our stories, our conditioning even. And then your 6th house of daily routines, health. I believe coworkers are in there as well. Work in general. It's, you know, like your day-to-day routines, like, you know, I mean, maybe even establishing a different daily, I want to say ritual. And then your 10th house of work, career, public image, how you kind of show yourself publicly. And then also your 8th house of transformation, death and rebirth, inheritance as well. But inheritance can also be, I mean, obviously it can be like the traditional inheritance that you get from somebody who potentially passes away. But also like, what did you inherit health-wise, or even societal or cultural, or just like within your family, you know, like traditions or something that have been passed down, or just, you know, it can only be this way or something, and because it's always been, you know, this way. So, you know, there could be some sort of like separation or just illumination on that. We have the 2 of Cups and the Sun card. So relationships could be a focus for you. I mean, this would be very positive for finding a person. And I mean, maybe it will happen in the next year, because this is a Leo card. The Sun is a Leo card, and Jupiter is going to be in Leo. Jupiter rules your 7th house of Pisces as well. And thankfully, Saturn and Neptune are all out of Pisces now. So that's nice that you have that break. And no doubt too, just over the last couple years, like, you know, because Saturn was in Pisces for 3 years, and then Neptune was there for 14 years. So no doubt there has been a lot of illumination around you in relation to your partnerships and the give and take, and how you showed up versus how they showed up, and who, what, you know, like, was it reciprocal? Because for me, like, the 2 of Cups is like, you know, both parties come to the connection with their full cup. And that means like they're able to emotionally show up for the other person just as much as you are, because you have a full cup. And there is an equality there, and also reciprocity, right? Like, and that could be because of bringing awareness, because Leo would be your 12th house. There would be some sort of awareness around your mental patterning, your mental, you know, chatter or stories that are in there. Also, even like what causes you to show up in a certain way in relationships, and what holds you back from showing up in a certain way in relationships. And you know, maybe this person that you meet, and it could be, of course, it could be romantic, it could be platonic, it could be business wise. So of course, take it, you know, however you want, you know, but they could just complement you really well, where, you know, like your strengths complement like their weaknesses, you know, and just kind of even things out, and vice versa. And no doubt there would be growth there as well. The sun is, you know, joy and bliss and, you know, rejuvenation and rebirth. The Nine of Wands here is just kind of like, don't settle. You know, like you might have to kiss a few frogs type of thing. And it's also like allowing yourself to believe that your ideal connection, and again, whatever that looks like for you, or whatever type of connection you're looking for, it's allowing yourself to believe that that does exist, because then you wouldn't settle, because you would be like, no, this ain't it. And I know whatever it is out there. And I think too, like it would also like just come down to being sure too that like you are continuing to take care of yourself, continuing to make sure that your cup is full. Because also too, like you would expect that from another person. Like you would expect them to take care of themselves as much as you do. Because I just don't think that like you're willing to carry around dead weight anymore. And with the eighth house being involved here too, like, and maybe it is something that you have like a feeling about, but it is something that can be highly transformative for both of you. Also with the Nine of Wands, like this would be just relying on your experience. You know, like the situations that you have been through, it's, you know, like recognizing earlier, you know what, I've been here before. No, you know, there's that whole saying of like, you know, for people who can recognize patterns really well, it's the whole, like, you're not wrong, you're just early type of thing. Like, it's literally, it's just not like once you recognize the pattern, that's enough, you know, like. And the Eight of Wands is behind it, which is like fast moving communication. The Ace of Wands behind there, the Judgment card, speaking of like transformation. I mean, you know, on the other side of things, just to wrap this up, because like I said, you know, I'm trying to do rapid fire and then I get like kind of, I get going and then I just keep talking. But this could also even be not, you know, like kind of letting go of how things went in the past. Like it's got to be both, right? Like it's got to be that you have a belief in this Two of Cups, right? That it's possible. So you have to kind of let go of like all of the things that didn't work out or how they went or whatever, right? Because you've grown, you have that experience, you've been through that experience. And it's also like very vulnerable, like putting yourself out there too. But then at the same time, like recognizing if a pattern does show up, like if you recognize something in somebody, in a connection, it's letting it go sooner rather than later. And that also kind of helps keep the energy moving. And then, you know, with the Ace of Wands here, that's new passion and motivation, excitement even too, because you're not like using all your energy to try to figure out like, is this pattern gonna, you know, like now I'm just kind of watching for like these little things that maybe this person does because this is the experience that I have, right? Like it frees up the energy, so that the right thing, person, place, thing, the right noun, can come in. Great. So for Libra, Libra, this is your 11th house of communities, friendships, aspirations, motivation even. Your 9th house of higher education, long distance travel, publishing, beliefs too. Your 5th house of creativity, children, vulnerability, and then your 7th house. Did I get that? Let me see. Hang on a second. 1st house. I wrote down the 11th house, but it's a 1st house because I'm like, wait, there's got to be an opposition in there. Sorry. So your 1st house of yourself, who you are, who you see yourself as. Your 9th house is the same, 5th house is the same, and then your 7th house. Is that right? How did I mess up Libra? Let's see. I actually have my solar return chart here, and it's a Libra rising. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your 5th house, 11th house, 7th house, and 9th house. So yeah, I got that right. It just is like this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The opposite of the 5th house is the 11th house. And then 6, 7 is Aries. 8, 9, Gemini. Okay, sorry about that. Hello? Yeah, so I did have that right the first time. So forget what I said about the 1st house. Okay. And then your 7th house of like other people and relationships, contracts maybe, marriage. We have the Ace of Cups and the 2 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so yeah. 8 of Wands behind that. I halfway wonder if you could like meet somebody at a party or like at a like a networking event or I don't know, like just through other people. But like the Ace of Cups is definitely something new. So this would be somebody new. And maybe even just you in relation to relationships, like you could be approaching it differently. Like you could have been spending a lot of time on like your personal healing, because the Ace of Cups is, like your cup being full, feeling emotionally fulfilled, loving yourself as well. It's like feeling ready and like emotionally capable and even potentially like emotionally mature enough. And by that, I just mean, like I was saying about like maybe you are approaching things differently. Like maybe you have a different idea of you in relation to other people, and also like what type of partner you would want to call in. And of course too, like, I mean, I know Libra is like considered the relationship sign, but this can also be business relationships. It could be, like friend groups too, just kind of finding like your people that, you guys are all on the same wavelength, or like you all kind of have the same drive or ambition or interests in something. It doesn't have to specifically be romantic, but it certainly can be if that is something that you are looking for. Because the 2 of Cups is, for me, it's shared values, and it's, both parties coming into a connection with their full cup. And there's a reciprocity there. You know, it's like you know how to take care of yourself. You love yourself as well. Also, even just having an awareness around you in relation to other people, and how much of your cup you have to give and how much you want in return, right? And also, like, the other person would come to the connection with their own cup, right? Like, they've done their work, their inner healing, their inner work, well, inner healing too, or they're in the process of it, have an awareness of the importance of it, right? And again, you know, it could be something that you both just have an emotional connection or interest in. But yeah, like, nobody's pouring from an empty cup. And also, both people or everybody understands the importance of having a full cup. So, you know, like, they recognize your need for filling your cup, and however you do that, you recognize that for them and however they do that. So honestly, like, it really is just feeling like very secure attachment. And we have the Eight of Wands behind that, which is like fast moving communication. It's quick, whatever it is. And, you know, I said that, you know, like, maybe you could meet somebody at a gathering or an event or something involving other people, because the 11th house is involved. School could be involved too, or publishing or writing in some capacity, church, travel too. I mean, you could move. You could meet this person while on a trip. All right. Thank you. And then for Scorpio. So for Scorpio, it's your 10th house of public image, reputation, career. That's too many cards. Your 8th house, which Scorpio rules. So is that right? I did this with Libra too, because I was like, is that right? Okay, so Scorpio, 1, 2, 3, 4th house, 5, 6, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. 4th house, 5, 6, 6th house, 7, 8. 9, 10. Yeah. Okay. So it's like this way. Okay. Sorry. I think my eyes are just kind of starting to go a little cross. So 10th house, your 8th house, which is Gemini. And that is, you know, transformation, death and rebirth, inheritance, the occult. Your 6th house of daily routine, work, co-workers, health, and then your 4th house of family and like the private life. So where the 10th house would be public reputation, the 4th house is like what happens behind closed doors. Also, you know, family, roots, kind of like the stuff of like who made you who you are, and like how did the experiences of, you know, like things that happened behind closed doors that, you know, that other people didn't see or that other people aren't really aware of, like how did that shape how you show up in life. We have the 5 of Wands and the Hanged Man. And then the Seven of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. I want to read from the book for these two cards. So the Five of Wands, conflict, tension, chaos. Conflict can only hurt me if I allow it. Chaos can only spread if I choose to engage with it. When I make a choice to accept a situation as it is, it allows the energy to diffuse and dissipate. It is not my job to get other people to see my perspective. It is only my job to act with good intention. When I feel I am not being seen or heard, it is an opportunity to turn within to give myself what I need and rise with my fire. The Hanged Man says, suspension, surrender, new perspective. I surrender to the moment and my attachment to the way I think things should be. As I release my grip, I allow for a new perspective and my consciousness to expand. Feeling suspended and uncertain can feel scary, but as I lean into this, I am creating space for the universe to weave its magic into my life naturally. As I let go of ego and connect to my light, guidance from spirit enters into my awareness and directs my way forward for my highest best. I've never read the Seven of Pentacles from this deck. Patience, commitment, stability. When I slow down and get grounded, I can evaluate my present situation. As I lean into patience, it allows me to assess where I am headed and what is needed. This allows me to visualize the unfolding of my desires. As I trust in the big picture, I consciously choose the options that best serve my present and future goals. I wisely and thoughtfully choose how I spend my energy, knowing strength and stability are built over time. My persistence is the key to my long-term prosperity. If something no longer resonates with my energy, I can choose to release it and make room for what aligns with my long-term goals. Yeah, I'm glad that I read those because I was having a hard time. Anytime the Five of Wands comes out, I think of Mulan. And I feel like these two cards specifically are so Mulan coded. Maybe that's just like a movie that you put on when you find yourself in the middle of like an activating event, conversation, or engagement with somebody to just help you even like get grounded again. But anytime the Five of Wands comes out, I always talk about Mulan because, like when they showed up to warrior training, everybody was arrogant. There was like all this competition and in conflict, right? People showed up with their buddies or, cliques were formed or, whatever. And then there's Mulan, who is trying to hide who she really is and just kind of trying to stay below the radar and being kind of pulled into things. But also she's putting in 100% effort on her own, right? Without really considering the reactions from other people. And eventually they all come around to working together, right? Whether it's being in proximity to each other or, being forced to work together or, some people literally just have to be shown. They cannot be told, which, Wands is about action, passions, creativity, motivation as well. And granted, she had the motivation of having to be there to save her father, right? But that was just who she was. The effort that she put in, it was who she was. And she also became who she, you could say destined to be, or in the end, she brought honor to her family, right? So, and especially since we are talking, the fourth house is involved here with you. And that is, family. And even I was saying, what happens behind closed doors, or even, your family's perception of you. Or their like, perception. Even like your perception of them too, but how maybe that influences your 10th house of how you show up in the world. It could be, even the career that you have, the reputation that you have, your 6th house of daily routines, your health, and even like the 8th house of who I just keep getting this like bleeding heart image, because what is it that motivates you? There could be some awareness, coming into that. And there's going to be some sort of, because anytime, of course, the hanged man comes up, there is a different perspective to be viewed or to be considered. So if you kind of find yourself looping, or if you kind of find yourself suspended or stuck in a situation or in some sort of conflict, and you really can only control what you're doing and your reaction to it, right? Like, which sucks. That it's like just not possible to try to, control other people's perceptions or other people's anything, really. Because also too, it's like, if you're putting in a ton of energy into something that you're not very excited about, because I keep like with this tree here, it is like fostering or, materializing your own security or like your own stability. It's like the grass is green wherever you water it, right? So if it's like, that whole saying of, the grass is greener on the other side. Well, yeah, but like, if that's what we're watering, like my situation sucks so bad that I wish I was in a different one, and that's the daydream that you're watering, then yeah, the grass is greener over there. But like, what is right in front of you? And any type of, stall or stuckness, it's generally a lack of action. And maybe that could also, come from a place of not wanting to be in conflict. Just trying to figure out all these different ways that you could do something, but like, where is the action? And just to like kind of wrap this up, because I feel like I could keep going. It's also a card of like training and conditioning, because the card that comes after the 5 of Wands is the 6 of Wands, which is success after or through victory, being recognized. So whatever this 5 of Wands is, like you have the chops, like you have the experience, if you would see it from a different lens. And like use a conflict as motivation, or use the competition as motivation. Now all of a sudden my throat's going. Like maybe it's something that you don't want to say. Maybe it's a conversation that you don't want to have. Like maybe you don't want to actually say like, hey, I actually have a passion about this, because maybe it's something that your family is like, absolutely not. or they have been, or, you know, whatever. And again, like some people, they just need to be shown. The Naked Heart. I haven't even seen this card come out yet. That feels like very vulnerable though. Let's read about it. I radiate at a pure vibrational level, calling in all that I need at this time to stay in alignment with my path. The universe is highlighting my gifts and asking me to trust myself and my intuition. As I listen to what my heart needs, my natural essence comes forth to be nurtured and innately connected with my calling and purpose. Comparing myself to others does not serve me and will only knock me out of my flow. I was given the exact proportion of amazing. Otherwise, I would not exist. My path may not always feel easy, but it will feel right. When I shine bright, I am the spark in someone else's light, and I inspire others. The Six of Cups is behind that. So, I mean, I have no doubt, like, even maybe this is something that you've been talking about since you were a kid. And it's like the time is ripe for you to try it. Okay. All right. So Sagittarius. For Sagittarius rising, this is involving your 7th house of relationships, marriage, contracts, other people in general, other people. Your 9th house of long distance travel, higher education, beliefs. Your 5th house of children, creativity, vulnerability, and your 3rd house of communication, neighborhoods, siblings, cousins, communication. Did I say that already? It's also like commuting, like shorter distance travel, you know, like kind of the drive to the grocery store, or, you know, like the drive to work type of thing. So for Sagittarius rising, there's way too many cards. I just saw this card when I was like putting Scorpio's cards away, and then the Star. This is the Empress, and then the Star. I mean, like, you could have children. If that is something that you want to manifest, like, in your future, this would be a good omen for that. And, you know, like with the 7th house, I'll be like, you know, meeting somebody to have those children with. You could be moving, or, you know, like the person that you meet, I don't, it's like there's some sort of distance there. But with the Empress, it's like, it's literally creating your idea of a life that you would love. Like, that's what I'm getting from it, and especially with the Star card, because the Star card is hopes and dreams, manifestation. It's also healing, aspirations. You know, I mean, they are generally depicted, the Empress is generally depicted as being pregnant. So, I mean, of course, again, like, it could be a good omen for expanding your family in that capacity. But also, you know, like in tarot, pregnancy is birthing something from your own being, or in your own image, right? So there could be something that you are literally giving life to and creating, and maybe that does have something to do with children, and maybe that has something to do with just pure creativity and vulnerability also. And it's like there would be finding a dream partnership too, like collaborating with somebody else, And because Uranus is in Gemini, and that's, you know, your 7th house. So it could just be something that, boom, just, you know, comes out of the blue. And, you know, maybe you're talking to a friend, or maybe you're talking to even a stranger, right? I mean, whatever. Because we have, you know, the 3rd house of communication. The 9th house has to do with books, or like publishing, higher education. Again, you know, like travel, long distance travel. Higher consciousness. And that is Leo for you. So some visibility around that. It could even just be like a funky idea. You know, like it's like recognizing like the need for it in a market and fulfilling that need, type of thing. And I love that there's like this tree that's growing out, because it's like there could be, you could discover like branches, like it could expand, like, you know, there would be something that could like branch off of it, or even just, you know, other connections, or it could make way for additional creations, replicating. That's like the thing that just kind of keeps like going through my mind is replicating. And then the 7 of Wands is behind it. This just feels like motivation. Like literally like pure drive. But it's like it's born out of something that you're passionate about. And, you know, almost like protecting the thing like it is your child, right? You know, like if it's not a child, then, you know, it would be nurturing it and protecting it like you would if it was your child. Beautiful. Okay, for Capricorn rising, this has to do with your 8th house of transformation, death and rebirth, inheritance, intimacy, inheritance, did I say that? Your 6th house. Yeah, okay, sorry. Like, I'm like looking at my notes, I'm like kind of confusing myself. Your 6th house of daily life, daily routines, work, health, coworkers can even be in there. Your 2nd house of money, resources, materials, self-worth, and your 4th house of home, family, what happens, you know, like what happens in private, like, you know, like what happens behind closed doors, your roots. For Capricorn. The moon. And the 3 of Swords. Spirit of Cups. The moon is Cancer, which is your 7th house, other people, relationships, contracts, marriage. The moon has to do like with our body, also our emotions, the subconscious. The moon card is also, it's like the things that are hidden, the things that we don't see right away. Darkness is only scary when I cannot see in it. Okay. But when I close my eyes, I have all the tools within me to navigate the shadows and shed my light on the unseen, unknown, and untouched. When I follow my intuition into the dark and obscure, my inner sight comes alive and my visions guide me. They illuminate a place within that needs to be nourished, transformed, and eased. I trust and surrender to the darkness, as unfamiliar as it may seem, because I know it holds the truth of what my soul desires. When I meet that place within me, I am free to be in the vastness of my creation and be the wild and untamed me. Also interesting that this is the glyph for Venus, which is Taurus or Libra. And then I'm pretty sure this is a constellation for Pisces. And some people do see the moon as being a Pisces card. But what would that would be your third house, communication. The Three of Cups or the Three of Swords is disappointment, heartbreak, rejection, betrayal. But it's swords, so it has to do with how that is living in your mind. What story are you attaching to those types of experiences, and where do they come from? Like, how do they show up in your subconscious? This really does feel like a dark night of the soul type of situation. Like there seems to be a potential here for you to be, I want to say, thrown into, a type of loss or disappointment here that kind of forces you to look at your subconscious programming. I mean, it is like, that saying, the only way out is in. And that is like by going into literally like your own shadow, those darker parts of yourself where these stories live, these patterns, these beliefs. And with the Spirit of Cups, this is the Knight of Cups. And then the Judgment card after that. This feels like reconnecting to your heart, because the Knight of Cups is very heart-led. And it's definitely a big difference between, the Three of Swords and the beliefs attached to it, and the perception that we have. And how you navigate the emotions of that. And I know like Capricorn is Saturn ruled. So even, like figuring out where Saturn is in your chart, even potentially where Venus is, and the moon. I mean, like, where are all the planets in your chart? But I don't know. I'm like trying to think of like Venus and Pisces. I'm by no means, I'm probably not going to get it correct. But the things that are going through my mind, and you don't have to have a Venus and Pisces. I'm just saying that because the glyph and the constellation is on there. I would think like a Venus Pisces or Pisces Venus, whatever, would struggle with relationship boundaries. And I would think that maybe they would, there's like no bounds to how much you can and do and have poured into other people. It's like, like you just maybe don't even see that. Or maybe, for you, there isn't a ceiling in that. But also it's like with the Three of Swords, it's like what have you gotten in return for that? Has there been great disappointment and deep sadness around some sort of like heartbreak in regards to that? Because there is still like a cup here that you want to offer to people, right? But it's like the water is in a container, so it's, you know, trying to figure out. And also somebody who, I don't know, like the thing that's going through my head is like, you know, like a person that recognizes when their cup is full and says, hey, I'm good. Let's focus on you now, right? Like there's like a reciprocal thing happening there. I don't even know how we ended up there, but that's like, that's what was going through my mind. And then with the Judgment card here, this is Pluto. And we have the Scorpio glyph on here, and modernly Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is in Aquarius, your second house. Self-worth. You know, it's like recognizing that you deserve without having to over give or over promise. And I also think too, and this is going to be a process that's probably going to be going on for a while, because even, you know, like with a butterfly, right? Like they're in a cocoon for a little while. Like it's not overnight. They just go from a caterpillar to a butterfly, right? Like they literally have to turn to goo. And I think you are going to be turning into goo. And I think that is a result of some difficult situations or experiences. But like what you come out as on the other side is a beautiful butterfly. So for Aquarius rising, it's your first house of self, who you are, your identity. Seventh house of other people, relationships, contracts, marriage. Third house, communication, neighborhoods, siblings, cousins. And your fifth house, children, creativity, visibility, vulnerability. For Aquarius rising, Ace of Cups, Two of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I do kind of love that, like especially involving the first house. I mean both, I guess first and seventh house. But you know, it's like it's filling your own cup first. It's even, you know, like putting on your oxygen mask before you put on your child's oxygen mask. And the fifth house having to do with children, like it could even just be, if you do have children, being an example for your child of like self-care, you know, like making sure that your cup is full, and even communicating that with them, like, you know, kind of setting some sort of boundaries, like for both of you guys. Because I also think too, it's like, you know, when you recognize the importance or even the benefit of taking care of yourself, you can recognize it in, you know, like other people. And if you can instill that in your children while they're young, right? Like, and give them space to say, you know, I need alone time, or, you know, whatever. I need, whatever, you know, I'm not around children ever. So I'm like, what do children say? You know, I mean, maybe just recognizing the need for like engaging activities, play, fun, right? But with the Ace of Cups, like cups having to do with our emotions, love. How do you give it? But most importantly, how do you receive it? How do you receive help or ask for it, or even appear as though you need help? Or that, you know, like you need the space in order to fill your own cup. Because with the seventh house, I mean, like, you know, it would involve other people as well if you are in a committed relationship, or if you want to be in a committed relationship. With this Ace of Cups here, it's, you know, recognizing you in relation to other people, and having the emotional capacity to engage with other people. The Two of Wands is planning for the future. There's a siren. So is that a yes or a no? I feel it like depends on who you ask. We're taking it as a yes. Even, you know, like having the emotional capacity to be able to plan for the future. I love that this is a crystal ball too. So, I mean, there could be something that just intuitively, you know, is coming up, or it will. And it's like kind of planning the actions that you want to take to maybe get there. I love that we have Temperance behind as well, because it does look like water and fire. And we have water and fire out here. Right? So it's balancing, or, you know, finding your perfect blend of intuition, nurturing, receiving, love, going with a flow, even, you know, like allowing things to come to you. And then the fire side of initiating and motivation, and, you know, like planning for the future, and then taking steps, taking action towards those results that you want. And it is, you know, like balancing those two things. I love that, you know, just how it works out. Water is on this side, fire is on this side, just as it is in the card. Maybe I just lost my entire train of thought, so maybe not. Maybe not, whatever that thought was. But I also love too that, like, we have an ace and then we have a 2. So this is like, again, it's feeling like you are at a point of emotional capability, happiness, fulfillment, to where you can consider future actions, planning what you want to do next. And also that this Temperance card is out here, like it would be, and with you being an Aquarius rising too, right? Like it would be something unique to you. It doesn't have to follow the same template that's already out there. That's like the whole point of this, is to figure out like your unique flavor. And that would probably involve trying different things, seeing how they fit, seeing if they fill your cup, or if they, you know, take away from it without giving. you know, even like tapping into your third eye. Beautiful. Last but not least, we have Pisces. Pisces rising. So this is your 12th house, 6th house, 2nd house, and 4th house. The 2nd house, or I'm sorry, the 12th house is your subconscious. You know, like conditioning, programming. It's the house of personal undoing, because that's kind of like what we're doing when we're in therapy, or, you know, like when we're on a healing journey, is like we are like peeling back the layers of ourself in our subconscious, right? Like the stories and the things that live up there, in there, whatever, out there, to discover like what is the truth of the thing. So it is kind of like undoing. The 6th house is daily routines, health, coworkers, the 2nd house is money, resources, self-worth, materials. And the 4th house is family, roots, what happens behind closed doors, right? It's like kind of in the privacy of your own home, or where you came from too, you know, like childhood, parents, grandparents, you know, just family traditions. What do we, oh, there we go. The 10 of Swords. And the Strength card. I honestly love this. This is a card of Leo, which is your 6th house. And like with the 10 of Swords, swords have to do with our mind and our thoughts and our mindset, our beliefs too. Like I see swords as being the suit of ego, because that's where we tend to hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, good, bad, and otherwise. Whether they were our stories or, you know, somebody else's story that they kind of imprinted or projected onto us. And it does become the reasons why you believe the things that you do, why you do the things that you do, and why you don't do the things that you do. But with the 10 of Swords, it's like there is a completion here. There is this energy of truly you have either done everything that you can think to do, or you have thought of every what if, every angle of a situation that you can possibly think of. And again, like I just keep getting this feeling like there's some sort of completion here, or some sort of ending with the Death card and the 6 of Swords behind that. I love the turtle. Yeah, you know, I mean, with the Strength card, like that talks about courage and bravery. And I think it's like with this Death card here, like there is going to be some sort of personal recognition with you that a situation, like I said, like you've done everything that you can do. That could have to do with a daily routine. Like, you know, I mean, it could have to do with a job. It could also have to do with your health. It could also have something to do with, like I said, like your home life. it could have to do with maybe even the things that you don't necessarily share with other people. Because again, fourth house, privacy, private, you know, again, like what happens behind closed, because nobody knows what happens behind anybody's closed door except for the people who are there, right? Like, it's like one of those, you really don't know somebody until you live with them type of thing. Because again, there's really nowhere to hide once you're both behind like the same door, right? So the tens also do include other people in some capacity. And then again, like with the strength card, this is Leo. Did I already say that? And Leo would be your 6th house. Yeah, I mean, you know, there could just be some sort of a disruption to your day-to-day life, and just, you know, kind of having to navigate, or, you know, kind of having to, yeah, I guess like navigate a different type of routine, or just a different type of situation. It could have to do with work, because your 2nd house, money, your access to, you know, the resources and materials that you need. The 6th house having to do with work. Your 12th house having to do with, like, again, how you're perceiving this need for an end here. Because a death card is truly like something has to end in order for something new to begin. There's always an ending and there's always a beginning. But one can't happen without the other. The 6 of Swords, like I said, behind that, movement forward. Also too, like, it kind of like, once this thing plays out, and with it being a turtle, and especially, I mean, this looks like one of those ocean turtles, right? Which is very kind of Piscean to me. But turtles in general are like, you know, slow and steady. Like, this could be something that just it's been a long time coming. But it like gives you the space and the ability, or even availability, to shift your focus, versus, you know, like, you've been possibly in a mindset here of just, again, like, what ifs, or, you know, what else can I try, or just trying to think of solutions in whatever capacity that is, right? And after the completion or the ending, now you can think of what's next. Because the 6 of Swords, it is moving from turbulent water, which water represents our emotions, you know, like stormy waters, just uncertainty, or, you know, just highly emotional, maybe even like emotional triggers, to more calm and peaceful waters. But, you know, I mean, this is the, you know, mindset thing. And, you know, I mean, our emotions and our mindset kind of go hand in hand anyway. But cuckoo, cuckoo, you know, like from Finding Nemo, maybe those turtles have some, because I remember them being pretty insightful. First you were like, whoa. And we were like, whoa. And you were like, whoa. This one says on parenting, well, you never really know, but when they know, you'll know, you know? Little dudes are just eggs. Leave them on the beach. Oh, hello. Leave them on the beach to hatch and then chew. They find their way back to the big old blue. Anyway, I mean that, you know, there might be some insight in the turtles and Finding Nemo if you want to watch that. But yeah, you know, like there's even like the rainbow. You know, it just like, it reminds me of like, you know, balanced chakras. And even, you know, when you see a rainbow, it's like the storm is past, right? And it's a sign of good things to come, or, you know, that the worst is over even. But it is going to take some strength on your part, probably some courage, a bit of, you know, bravery as well. Which, I mean, you got that. Beautiful. And that concludes all of these readings. Thank you so much for allowing me. I probably should have said that at the end of every reading, like thank you, but I didn't. So thank you. Bye.